Hello, welcome back to Chat About It. Don't chat about it with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Woke, as crowned by one of my haters. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Now, question is, was Boom-Tastic, or was it Pfft? Well, for me personally, as a viewer, on a score from 1 being the absolute worst, 10 to being absolutely outstanding, and 5 being average, I would give it a 4.5. So just below average. It is certainly a darn sight better than the tripe that we got last week. 100%. And the Moffat man was back. Was he back with a bang? I personally don't think so. Let's put it like that. I think in the terms of his writing, it's probably one of the weakest things I've ever seen from Stephen Moffat. However, there are some great points about this episode, some great concepts and some not so great concepts. And there's some questions that I would like to ask you, which I think may be interesting topics of discussion. Which other doctors do you think may have been suited to this particular style of episode? Standing on bomb, not being able to move. Which doctors do you think would have been great to do that? What did you like about the episode? What did you hate about the episode? What would you improve on with this episode? I think this is all relevant stuff to talk about. So without further ado, let's talk about some of my likes and my dislikes. So a little disclaimer before I do, you are allowed to like the show. That is absolutely fine. You don't have to hate it. And I'm allowed to express my opinion on something that I don't like. When there are differing opinions, it makes it much more interesting to talk about. Now, some of the things that I'm going to say about this particular episode, I may actually unintentionally contradict myself at some points because I'm thinking, yes, that was great. And then I'm thinking, but this wasn't so great about what was great about it. So just be warned, some of this may sound contradictory. So I actually think this episode should have been a bit longer. I'm just putting this out there. I really liked the fact that the doctor was in jeopardy. The reason why I like that is because with the bi-generation story, they essentially removed all of the jeopardy like they did with the timeless child, and therefore it just made it fall very flat because there was no risk of the doctor actually physically being able to die. So he stands on this landmine and suddenly we have this sudden expectation of the doctor could really die here. And that is one of the things that makes it a plus in this instance in some regards. And I probably will contradict that a little bit later on. But, it was a great idea, great concept. And it's a shame that we have to go to this concept because of the timeless child and the bi-generation rubbish that they've done. But that's the way it is now. We have no jeopardy. So they're having to introduce jeopardy that didn't need to exist because the doctor already technically had the jeopardy in his own storyline. The smelted dead body. I have to say, this was my favorite part. This genius. I love this sort of like clever little writing. She thinks she's holding an urn, but she's actually holding someone's remains in like a canister AI storage style. Absolutely brilliant. I love that little sort of nuance there. And I think that's just a little bit of genius writing and that old style Moffat coming through here. Love that bit. I also liked the dialogue between Shooty and Millie when she is handing over the death tube, so to speak. Now, okay, I'm not a big fan of the singing, but with regards to this episode, at least Stephen Moffat tried to make it work. Let's just put it like that. Singing aside, though, I do actually like the dialogue exchange between them. Did it play across the relationship more onto the screen, into the audience's home? No, I still think it's falling short of that. But it was great to see that they've actually got a little bit of development going on there. Now, for some reason, this particular scene caused a lot of contention for other viewers. They were really annoyed by Ruby Sunday, by what the character was deciding to do. But when you realistically look at it, what the doctor was also suggesting about throwing the death tube or the body to him so that he can counterbalance and actually be able to stand, he was actually also suggesting something really, really stupid, and so was she. So you have to weigh it out. Who has got the better option? Let's take it slow. Let's talk about it and hand it over. Was it annoying? No, I actually think this is one of the best performances so far I've actually seen from Millie Gibson. So I applaud that. Ruby getting shot, taking the companion completely out of the equation in this respect was something I hadn't expected. Now, I think in retrospect, I perhaps would have liked to have seen the doctor getting shot and ending up like this. And then what does everyone do? Leave it on a cliffhanger, that sort of thing. I would have liked that. But this was a nice touch. However, it led to an extremely rushed, in my opinion, resolution. Okay, so now we're on to our dislikes. All right, so no problem with the child actress here. She's absolutely fine. And it was more to do with the fact that there is a child in a war zone. And what on earth is going on there? That's insane. Was this a metaphor for families living at military camps, military homes, that kind of thing? I don't know, but I think this is just I think this was just bad writing, actually, in general. The doctor's crying when in jeopardy. Okay, this is, in my opinion, not the doctor, this crying when in jeopardy. So Shooty really, in this episode, was challenged as an actor. He has so much energy, and there's one thing that I don't think Stephen Moffat or Russell T Davies will ever confirm about this episode. But speaking as a professional who has in the past had massive amounts of energy, being put in a situation where I have to stand still, I think either consciously or subconsciously, and I think they're more aware of it, they did this on purpose because Shooty's energy is very explosive as the doctor I've found so far. And I think it's too much and it needs pulling back. And I think this is what they were trying to get him to do. They were trying to get him to pull back the energy that he has as the doctor and hone it in so that he can actually choose, other than cocky, he can actually choose an ideal facet for his doctor. So by honing someone in on one spot, it gets them to think about it more. It gets them to question it more. It gets them to think how they're going to use their chest, their heart, and the connection with their voice and their face. And that's the idea of how that should, something like that should actually work. However, I feel like there was no connection going on at points, not all the time, not all the time. There were points where it was fine and great, and there were points where it wasn't working. I just think that it wasn't connection between the chest, the heart, the voice, and the face. His face should have had all of the energy that he goes out with, and it should also be matched in his voice. However, at points, I found his delivery extremely monotone, and there should have been lots of color within his voice, and he would have been able to use his chest because he's very still to in order to be able to do that. I don't know if it was an acting decision whether or not to cry, but I feel like this may have actually been an acting choice more than a script choice. Crying is an extremely difficult thing to do. But my question is, if I was thinking like the doctor and I was asking myself questions, if I was the doctor, would the doctor really be crying in this situation? Or would he be trying to think intelligently with panic, yes, with fear, but really would he be crying at this stage? Now, obviously, he cries when Ruby gets shot. I'll give him that one. That's absolutely fine. I'll give him that. But I think just in this situation, it just didn't work. I actually also felt some of his facial expressions were forced. And for me to say something like that, that's really harsh. But there were times when he was going like that, and I'm like, I'm thinking, pull it back just a little bit. You know, how wide can you get your eyes? Yes, he did something incredibly difficult by staying still for an entire episode. That is so hard to do, and I know how that works. I understand how that works, having done it myself. But this is really where perhaps a lot of his development should have really, really been pushed forward at this point. There were just some areas of it that were not pushed enough, I don't think. Now, obviously, you can disagree with that, but I'm thinking of it professionally as well. So please do try to understand that. But obviously, if you disagree, that's absolutely fine. So there's another thing that the doctor did, and this was script wise now, um, where he didn't sound like the doctor. He was talking to Splice. Splice turns up, and he actually did something that I would consider to be a very human response and not a very alien response. Ruby's response was correct. I think the doctor, with regards to the sound and the feel of the doctor, I don't think the doctor's response was correct. Um, and he didn't tell her that her dad was dead. And I think that was incorrect. I actually think the doctor would have told her that. Now, there was something mentioned, peppered quite throughout of this particular episode, was thoughts and prayers. Now, this is something that I see commonly used amongst politicians. And I would like to ask a question. Those sorts of words, do you think that they are empty words or they're quite contentious or anything like that? What do you think about the use of the words thoughts and prayers? Now, obviously, I know that this was an homage to that, but what do you think about that? All right, let's talk about the Vergers. Now Doctor Who is a family show, and they certainly in this episode didn't hold back with bashing the Christian faith Anglican soldiers, the Vergers in this episode. The Doctor was, let's just put it like this, very rude. Obviously, he's in a very dangerous situation right now, so people do say things harshly. There is moments of contention for me here with this particular thing. And I understand that religion and bashing religion throughout TV does exist. However, when you're looking at a family TV show, this is something that I actually do take issue with. Okay, so let me just say the doctor suggests that faith means that they can't think for themselves, and all Monday, who is on the screen right now, could say was shut up and prove it. In something that I would consider to be a family show with something like picking on religion, I would expect there to be pushback from the vergers on this. I really do. I genuinely do, because it's essentially, if you have the doctor bashing the religion, you are telling other children, young people, that it is okay to go and bash religion because faith is not everything. Faith doesn't do this. Faith doesn't do that. No, 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 no. We need to teach children critical thinking. We need to teach them to think for themselves. And when they are older, they have every right to question their faith that they believe in, or make their own decision for themselves. There was absolutely no pushback offered by the Vergers in this episode. They were there, they were Anglican, they were there to be bashed, essentially, in my opinion. And I did not take that very well. In a family show, if you're going to make points about being an atheist, you need to make points about being a theist as well. So have that pushback, have that debate, show children both sides of it if you are really going to go down that route. If you're not, leave it out. What did people think of the ending? I thought the ending was a bit too simple and a little bit rushed. A dad's love deactivated the minds of the AI and breaking down of the firewall. It was very empty child. I actually felt like this whole entire episode was very empty child and the doctor's daughter. Spent ages trying to figure out what this episode felt like, and I finally worked it out. I don't know. There was something, I still can't put my finger on it, but there was something about this resolution that was just not it for me. I have a couple of inconsistencies here. So at the beginning of the episode, although I'm pretty sure this is a hook-in device, the soldier that's walking around blind, there's no really any real explanation as to how he became blind, what kind of jeopardy they think they are facing. It wasn't intense enough. I get it. It was a hook-in. It was a common plot device that is used at a lot of theatre plays and all of that. So I get it, but I just felt like they could have explained that a little bit more. An inconsistency that I also noticed was when the Doctor runs out of the TARDIS after hearing a scream. So he's running out and he's blatantly, obviously, running out into a place that has been decimated and is on fire and is in ruins and tatters. He's pelting it out there to see what the situation is and what's going on. And why is he doing that? He is, in my opinion, the one that's more likely to be, hey, don't go and do things like that to the companion. It should have been Ruby that did that. The bomb was way too inconsistent. The bomb determining if he's alive, love that part of it. But then just saying it's going to be a fail-safe anyway. So where's the jeopardy? You know it's going to blow up. Might as well just get it over and done with, right? Or just not say it at all. So I think whilst this episode was below average, there were definitely loads of things that they could do better. I think that perhaps that they could have even risked making this a two-parter. And perhaps either have, or if they weren't going to do that, either have the Doctor be alone for this episode, or have Ruby stand on the landmine instead. I actually think that would be more realistic, or even having the Doctor blow up on the landmine and put that into a cliffhanger. There aren't enough cliffhangers at the moment. There need to be more, I think. But I think this is certainly an episode where you could have actually got away with doing that by making it appear that perhaps the Doctor is dead or that Ruby is dead. I know they did that with Ruby halfway through the episode, but if you understand what I mean, if Ruby was to stand on the mine, that kind of thing. And one more question that I have got to ask. Where is this money actually going? Because this was essentially a bottled episode for the most part. And obviously, a lot of money perhaps couldn't have been spent on this episode per se. It looks more polished, obviously, than previous years, but with all this Disney money, why aren't the episodes running for longer, especially because we've only got 8 episodes? What are they spending this money on? Well, anyway, there you go. That's what I think of it. What do you think of it? Remember, it is okay to like it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.